got some new head coaches in the National Football League this year, and I'm going to go through team by team what I think about the hire. There's some new guys who I'm not very familiar with, but there's some older veteran coaches too that I am pretty familiar with. And the oldest one, obviously, the Las Vegas Raiders went out and got Pete Carroll, a veteran coach who knows what it takes to win football games. He went out and hired a veteran offensive coordinator in Chip Kelly, which will help out tremendously because Pete Carroll is more of a hands-on approach guy as far as practice schedule. It's out of practice, clapping his hand, chewing gum. He's not a big X's and O's guy, so he needs an offensive coordinator with a lot of experience, and he got one in Chip Kelly coming off the national championship victory at Ohio State. Obviously, he called plays at the Philadelphia Eagles. Very good hire. They retained Patrick Graham as defensive coordinator. He's been there a couple of years for the Vegas Raiders. They had some solid defenses there, so I think it's a good hire to rehire him to run the defense. So they have three very good coaches there. The general manager is John Spytek. He's from Tampa Bay. It's going to be his first year as a GM. Obviously, he's got great experience working with Tampa Bay and Todd Bowles and Jason Light, so I think it's a good hire there. Pete Carroll will lead the way, but Spytek will be a good guy to get the players in the Raiders need to be successful. They have a lot of money in their cap space as well, so I expect them to be very, very aggressive in free agency. We got the New England Patriots, another veteran coach in Mike Vrabel. Obviously, he was head coach for the Titans, took a year off. He did a good job. He hired Doug Marrone as his offensive line coach. I worked with Coach Marrone in Jacksonville for a year. He's a very good offensive line coach. He's with New Orleans. I think he went to Boston College for a year to work with Coach O'Brien. But this guy's a veteran offensive line coach who knows what he wants. Offensive coordinator had Josh McDaniel, been a head coach, obviously called plays for Tom Brady. Him and Vrabel go way back as far as their coaching and playing experiences go. And I think that's a good hire for Drake May to have a veteran coach who knows how to attack all types of defenses and how to protect the quarterback with pass protection. Josh McDaniels has experience doing that, and that's a great hire. Defensive coordinator hired Terrell Williams, who was with Coach Vrabel in Tennessee for 4 or 5 years as a defensive line coach, run game coordinator. I expect Mike Vrabel to have his hands very much on the pulse of the defense. He's a very good defensive coordinator, and Terrell Williams will help out in a big-time way with them. And also the GM, Elliott Wolf, obviously he's a longtime Packer. I like that hire. He's got great experience in how to build a football team. And I think the Patriots, with a very young quarterback in Drake May, have some cap room. They can attack free agency as well. But I expect them to have a lot of success early with Coach Vrabel as leading the helm for the New England Patriots. We go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, this is a unique one. I don't think they've hired a GM yet. They're having trouble finding that head coach GM combination. They got the head coach in Liam Coen. He's called plays for a year with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, had a very good year with Baker Mayfield. He was with the Rams for a year. Then he went to Kentucky, went back to the Rams, went back to Kentucky. He's kind of been bounced around a little bit, said he wasn't going to be a head coach, and he went back to the Tampa Bay. Then he did become a head coach. So very wishy-washy offseason for Liam Coen. He got an offensive coordinator named Grant Udinski, I think his name is. He was at the Minnesota Vikings as assistant offensive coordinator, which obviously he didn't call any plays because Kevin O'Connell called them all. Wes Phillips was offensive coordinator. So his role as a play caller will be very much scrutinized because he's never done it. Obviously, Liam Coen, I'm sure, will call all the plays. Defensive coordinator hired Anthony Campanile. He's a run game coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. Very limited experience as far as play calling on defense is concerned as well. So this is a very inexperienced group, and they still have not even hired a GM yet. Shane Waldron comes in as a pass game coordinator, which will be a great addition to help Liam Coen obviously put together some game plans because he's got experience doing that, being from Seattle and Chicago. So they're a very young, inexperienced group. My biggest concern for these guys is their inexperience on defense. Liam Coen knows how to put a game plan together, but they got to get a GM in there because the Jaguars have a lot of holes to fill, and they got to get Trevor Lawrence right. Doug Peterson couldn't do it. Obviously, he struggled, and Liam Cohen's got his hands full trying to get Trevor Lawrence to become the player everybody thinks he should be, being the number one overall pick. And then the Bears, the Chicago Bears got the pick of the litter. They got Ben Johnson. And what I like Ben Johnson, what I like that Ben Johnson did was he went out and hired an experienced defensive coordinator in Dennis Allen. When you have another coach on your staff that's been a head coach, been a successful defensive coach for many, many years, that experience goes a long way with when you're a rookie head coach. because you have things to bounce, ideas to bounce of practice schedules, OTAs, all of these things that you didn't have to do as an offensive coordinator. Now you have to do all these schedules, and to have another guy like Dennis Allen as your right hand man helping you along the way will pay off big time for Ben Johnson's first year with his inexperience. They hired offensive coordinator Declan Doyle. He's a tight end coach at Denver, a young kid. I don't envision him doing a lot other than drawing up cards and stuff for the practice scripts. I think Ben Johnson will do the majority of play calling and game planning. So Declan Doyle will get a good experience and help out Ben in a big time way. Obviously, the GM is Ryan Poles. He's been there for a while. Hopefully Ben and Ryan can work together and build a team that they want to build with the players that they need, because Ben's coming into a team that doesn't have the offensive line that he had in Detroit. Now, they don't have the tight ends that he had in Detroit. They don't have the backs that they had in Detroit either. So they have some work to do to try to build that football team offensively, especially to help Caleb Williams take that next step to be a successful quarterback in the National Football League. We all know he has a talent. We got to get some offensive line to protect them. A couple more big-time players at the running back or wide receiver position or tight end that can help make some big plays as well. The Dallas Cowboys went out and hired Brian Schottenheimer. I didn't know he was on the staff, but he was offensive assistant or quality control or whatever he was, but he got promoted to be the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Went out and signed Clayton Adams to be the offensive coordinator. He was a run game coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals last year. I did like the Arizona Cardinals run game with James Conner. They did some good things in the running game. I think this is a good hire because the Cowboys need to get back to that strong running attack. I know Rico Dowdle's a free agent, but they got to get their run game going again to help Dak Prescott and CD Lamb out, take some pressure off of those guys. Defensive coordinator hired Matt Eberflus. We know he's a very good defensive coach. Obviously struggled as a head coach with his clock management issues, but as far as the defensive coach is concerned, Matt Eberflus' defenses have always been very sound, good tackling units, and I think he's a good hire for Brian Schottenheimer's team at the Dallas Cowboys. So they have a very good, experienced defensive coordinator. Offensively, let's see what Brian Schottenheimer does with that team. I know he worked with Mike McCarthy. I don't know how much change there's going to be with the offense, but they do need to tweak some things. And I think Brian Schottenheimer, with the addition of Clayton Adams, can do some different things, really help out the running game is the big thing that I see. The New York Jets hired Aaron Glenn to be their head coach, defensive coordinator from the Detroit Lions. Obviously, he played for the Jets. Very good football coach and a great hire for the Jets. Now, offensive coordinator, whenever you hire a defensive coordinator, if you're the GM and you hire a defensive coordinator, they better have a very good plan for the offense, because Aaron Glenn, I know, does not know how to call a play on offense. So he better have a good, experienced offensive coordinator. They did not get an experienced one. They got a receiver coach or offensive assistant or whatever he was for the Detroit Lions, Tanner Engstrand, I think his name is. So his experience is very limited. Obviously, he's coming from the Ben Johnson tree. Hopefully he has some of the same ideas and concepts that Ben has, and he can carry those on to the New York Jets, whoever their quarterback is. But the most important thing for the Jets, they got to identify their quarterback moving forward. They can't just keep bouncing around. They have to find their starter that can really develop into the Jets with Aaron Glenn and Tanner Engstrand so they can work together moving forward, whether it's a guy in the draft or a free agent they can get, maybe Sam Darnold. I don't know. Sam Darnold again, I doubt it, but I don't know. I don't know who they're going to get, but they need to get a quarterback bad. Defensive coordinator, they went out and got Steve Wilkes, very veteran guy. He was with the 49ers, defensive coordinator when he went to the Super Bowl. He was with Carolina. He's done a lot of good things, been very experienced, been a head coach for the Cardinals. So I think that's a good hire as well. They just have a long way to go offensively. It's going to be a tough year for the Jets if they don't figure out the quarterback position. The New Orleans Saints went out and signed Kellen Moore to be their head coach just a couple days ago, coming off a Super Bowl victory with the Philadelphia Eagles. Did some great things with Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley. The run game was outstanding. They had a very good offensive line. They had a good plan of attack each week. They did not turn the ball over. And if he can carry that mentality over to the New Orleans Saints, offensively, they'll be better with Derek Carr at quarterback. Defensively, they have some work to do. I don't know who he's going to hire. Heck, I heard he might hire Dan Orlovsky to be a coordinator for their offense. Who knows? A lot of things going on for Kellen Moore in his first year being a head coach. It's very difficult coming up with all the practice schedules and all the OTA schedules and all the things you have to do as a head coach and call plays for your first year. But he's young. He's got a lot of energy. I'm sure he's got a lot of good ideas. But it's going to be a challenge for him to find the staff that he wants that can really take New Orleans to the next level to compete in the NFC South with the Atlanta Falcons and Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the up-and-coming Carolina Panthers. Yeah, I think the inside track, I think the best hire for me was Mike Vrabel. He's got experience as a head coach. He went out and signed an experienced offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator he's very familiar with. They have a good rookie quarterback. They have a lot of cap space, and I think they can attack this offseason in a way that's going to help New England compete right away in the AFC East. Obviously, it's a tough division with Miami and Buffalo, and it's going to be in the Jets. But I think if I'm the owner of the New England Patriots, I feel really good about hiring Mike Vrabel.
In football, every game means more during the playoffs, and you can start your own personal playoffs on Underdog, where you could cash in on touchdowns, interceptions, yards, or more. All you have to do is pick higher or lower, and you could take home up to 1,000 times your money if you get your picks right. It's that simple. Millions of fans have already won billions of dollars making picks. Sign up for Underdog today using promo code POCKET, capital POCKET, and you'll get a free pick as a part of your first cash entry plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Again, that's promo code POCKET.